Welcome to Misano for edition 13 of 2019 in After the Flag. I'm Steve Day, Matt Birt, Simon Crafar join me as we analyse today's race. Coming up in the show, we'll look at our predictions to see how close we were as Marquez then takes a 93-point lead into Aragon next weekend. Fabio Quartararo, though, how unlucky was he? Another last lap battle. That's a hat-trick now. We've had some brilliant races, but Marquez features once again. And this time, more importantly, he wins, Matt. Says that he's been spurred on by all of this controversy that happened on circuit yesterday in Q2 with Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, I guess you could say Valentino actually inadvertently helped Marc Marquez win today's Grand Prix 24 hours before a wheel had even been turned in anger. We said it in commentary, didn't we? You should never poke a sleeping lion. That's exactly what Valentino did. Marc never needed any extra motivation, but losing those last lap battles to Dovi in Austria and to Rins at Silverstone, that really spurred him on, but he was pushed all the way brilliantly today by Fabio Quartararo. It was fascinating to see. We've been waiting for the first Marquez-Quartararo battle. We got it today. We're going to see it many more years in the future. Great race between the pair of them. Massive respect between the two of them. Wasn't Fabio's day today. His day will come, but you've got to say Marquez rode absolutely fantastic. Brilliant last lap from him. Shadowed Fabio all the way, and he got the job done as he so often does.
Are you surprised at all, Simon, by what we saw today?
I'm surprised because I'd have put money on there being more crashes, because the lack of grip here and the tricky layout is like a combination to cause a crash, you know. It's really difficult to get the entries consistent without the mistakes. And that's why I'm first of all surprised that Fabio Quartararo, with his lack of experience, really, you know, the first year, rode with the best in the world, pushed them all the way to the last lap, last turns, and didn't make a mistake. Class. Second, Marquez, he didn't have to win today.
No.
And for him to risk it in those conditions, you know, where I think Alberto, his whole team, we were all worried that he would make a mistake. We spoke about it last night, and he didn't. So hats off to Marc.
I think most of us thought that if there was going to be a battle at the front between two, it would be Marc and Maverick. I mean, just quickly touching on Maverick, a very peculiar race for him. He started off well, got out front. I must admit, I thought he might bolt and actually pull a big gap, but he said in the press room just a moment ago, between laps 3 and 8, he lost all grip. I mean, what is that all about?
Well, he got the perfect start, got the whole shot from pole position. I thought Maverick's in the groove here. Like you, Steve, I thought if he can keep on clicking this pace, he's going to actually break away and win quite convincingly like he did in Assen. But lap 3, couple of big scares in the front end, and Maverick was just thinking, I need to understand really where the limit is. I don't feel comfortable. I'm going to have to just roll out of this a little bit until the bike comes back to me. This happens quite a lot, that doesn't for Maverick Vinales. He says third was the best he could do today. After the race, he said bigger problems for him are acceleration and traction at lean angle, but he said those 2 or 3 front end scares early on just rattled him, disturbed him, got him out of his rhythm. But I actually thought Maverick was going to be the race winner today. How wrong was I?
The slowest Yamaha won the battle in terms of that fight. Quartararo was not necessarily the man we expected to see up there. He didn't seem to have any problems. I mean, you said class. You're absolutely right to be matching Marc Marquez. He's always wanted that battle with Marc, and he got it.
It just goes to show that this layout isn't all about horsepower, is it? It's about grip and being able to use it. But Maverick, and going back to what you were saying about Maverick, I mean, Yamaha have got to be really disappointed. I can't see how they won't be getting sick of this, you know. I don't think we've seen the best of the genius of Maverick, you know. I keep expecting to see it because he's a fantastic rider. I know he can take it to Marc every weekend if he's happy. Yeah, it's super disappointing. One more thing about how he went so well in the beginning. And when you get that tyre drop off, the bike is different to ride. So I can sympathise, but it's almost like he took too long to adjust where the other guys did, you know, and they have to figure this out.
4 Yamahas in the top 5. I mean, we have to just take note here. This is a big step forward for Yamaha. They've made drastic improvements, but perhaps not in the positions that they want to be. Franco Morbidelli was in quite a lonely 4th spot for some time until Valentino Rossi came along. Rossi, of course, himself got stuck behind Pol Espargaro early on, but Was there going to be anything there for him in a podium? I mean, both of them ended up actually quite a considerable distance away from the top three.
Yeah, I mean, hand on heart, I'm probably going to be hated for saying this here in Misano, Valentino's backyard, but had he not spent so much time behind Polispargo, I still don't actually think he was going to have the pace, certainly for the top two. Quartararo and Mark were on a different level today. The pair of them ran absolutely brilliantly. Maybe with Maverick's issues from laps 3 to 8, he could have gone with Maverick and given him a bit of a battle, but Franco Morbidelli for me has got major headache. He just cannot get on par with Fabio Quartararo. He was supposed to be the A guy, the star rider in that Petronas Yamaha SRT team this year. He's being outridden, outfought and outclassed at times by Fabio Quartararo, who's riding that crest of a wave. Franco has got to try and figure out the way that it all works out for him, because right now Quartararo's all over him.
The first job always, Simon, as you probably remember, is beat your teammate, and that's obviously a bit of an issue for Franco at the moment.
Yeah, to be fair, Franco's probably having a normal rookie year, and people are going, yeah, that's pretty good, he's going to get there. It's just Fabio is another level, isn't he? That's all.
Looking beyond that, of course, at the rest of the field, an interesting race. Polispargo was trying to hang on to that top 7 or 8 for a long time. In the end, Andrea Dovizioso managed to come through to take 6th place. Guys, he was the race winner here last year. I know that you've spoken to Davide Todozzi, and we'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. But Matt, as the race winner here last year, they said they knew that they were going to have trouble based on the test here 2 weeks ago. But is that really good enough? I mean, 6th place here, that they've lost a massive chunk to Marquez again, and they weren't anywhere near the fight for victory.
It was a disastrous weekend all round for Ducati. Danilo Petrucci, who we thought was going to be strong, the race winner last time we were in Italy in Mugello, he was just never at the race. He's never got going at all. A long way back. Quite fortunate to get inside the top 10 with a couple of mistakes in front of him, but Dovizioso was a humbling experience for Andrea today. It never looked comfortable all weekend. These hot conditions, this slippery surface in Misano, seemed to hurt the Ducatis more than anybody. They couldn't use that poke, that grunt and drive coming off the corners. Andrea pre-race seemed quite confident that they'd found something last night. He had quite a strong warm-up, but Ducati were just nowhere near the Yamahas, certainly nowhere near Marc Marquez, and back to the drawing board in many respects.
What's Todozzi said then, son?
Yeah, I went after the race to get a quote from him, and he said he was very happy with the efforts of Dovizioso. He said they are not happy with the package that they gave him, So he's basically saying that Dovi did the best he could with what he had. They're really disappointed. He said it was about 3/10 a lap that they were missing ever since this grip is lower here. Speaking to all the Ducati teams over the weekend, it's especially in the fast turns, which is terrifying for the rider if you can't don't have confidence to go through that turn quick, lack of grip. He said though that it's very particular layout and surface here, and he does not believe they're going to have the same trouble at the next race.
For me though, Marquez, he doesn't have days like this. He never has your 5th or your 6th places.
Yeah.
Bad days for Mark at the moment are second. He's had 18 successive top 2 finishes. There are bad tracks for Mark and the Honda. He's just so
but
good.
That's rider, not machine.
Exactly. That's what I mean. He covers and masks so many of the deficiencies that are on that Honda. I thought Michele Pirro made a brilliant point, because this weekend a lot of people saying, Ducati are behind Honda. That's absolute rubbish. Star guest performer there in the shot there. That's rubbish. The Honda is not, for me, as good as the Ducati. It's the fact that Mark's phenomenal talent takes that Honda to where it should be. Look where Cal Crutchlow was this weekend, lost and nowhere.
Well, the LCR Hondas, both of them down and out. The second best Honda, Jorge Lorenzo, 14th, 47 seconds back from Marquez. So it's
Honda
always him that makes
Marquez,
the difference.
like Matt said.
Okay, 7th place was Polispargo. Aspirations for a top 6. That's a good result, though. I mean, he did everything he could, guys, to stay out in front of Valentino for as long as possible. All in all, a top weekend for KTM.
They're extremely happy. I spoke to Paul Trevethan, who is the crew chief for Pole, and he said coming into this race, because they'd always struggled at low grip tracks, he was really nervous. And he says, but what happened is things that Danny had been developing together with things they found at the test. They put it all together. There was 3 different components, he said, and it just worked. And from the first session, Paul had a big smile on, and yeah, the rest's history.
Awesome, brilliant. So happy for Pol Espargaro. He's one of the real good guys in the paddock, isn't he? He's always got a smile on his face, no matter what's going on. You know, KTM's first front row start in dry conditions, and there's absolutely no disgrace whatsoever, finishing 7th behind those guys. Marquez, Quartararo, Vinales, you know, Dobby, Morbidelli and Rossi on factory Yamahas, Ducatis and Hondas. That's a great job by Pol Espargaro.
Because it was a true one, because there was a lack of crashes, you know.
He could not have done any more than what he did all weekend, Pol Espargaro. Absolutely awesome performance from him.
There was one crash in there that we have to bring up, of course, Alex Rins on the Suzuki. He had an interesting race. He himself got stuck behind Pol Espargaro for a time. Then it came up on his dashboard. He had a track limits warning. He ran wide a couple of times. He made some mistakes, and then he didn't end up having to take the penalty because, in the end, Simon, he crashed out.
Yeah, I again went to see Mano, his crew chief, straight after the race, and he, after their debrief, and he said that he'd cut the chicane. That's why he got the penalty. But he cut the chicane and then purposely dropped back.
He did. He rejoined further back.
Let 2 riders past, and there was 9/10 of a second. He dropped back, but the penalty for cutting the chicane is 1 second. So that's why he couldn't believe he got the penalty, but he was 1/10 out, which is harsh. Manu, the crew chief, said we'll never know if it's a coincidence or not, but it's basically when he got the note on his dash, whether it put him off or not, but the crash was pretty much straight after.
You know, for me, I'm a big fan of Alex, and the way he rode at Silverstone a couple of weeks ago was absolutely sensational, but you never will beat Marc Marquez over a 19-round World Championship when you're making mistakes like he did in Assen, when he crashed out the lead, like he did in Sachsenring when he blew. Pretty safe second place. He wasn't in the podium battle today, but that's 3 DNFs already this year for Alex. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when Marc is so fast and so consistent, you're going to win nothing. You're not going to beat the guy.
Okay, let's have a look and see what we said yesterday then. Our predictions just after qualifying from yesterday. Who won? Okay, here are my predictions for the race then. I've put my faith in him a few times this year and it's gone wrong, but I'm counting on you, Maverick Vinales. I think he'll do the job after his brilliant pole lap today. Second place, he always finds a way of finishing in the top 2, so I'll go Marc Marquez second, Fabio Quartararo in third.
Well, I've been pretty set on my top 3 for quite some time now. It's just in which order, Vinales, Quartararo or Marquez. I'm going to go for Maverick Vinales for the win. I think he's going to do it just like in Assen. Marc Marquez to be in second place yet again, and Fabio Quartararo to hang on to the podium. So for me, it's a Maverick Misano masterclass.
The favourites for the podium at the end of qualifying, to me, is quite clear. The problem is the order. I'm going to go Fabio for third. The problem is Vinales or Marquez, and my gut says Vinales, but I know my workmates have both chosen that order, so I'm going to go the other way. Marquez, Vinales and Fabio, but let's hope Valentino pulls out some Sunday magic.
Well, there we go then. Simon, you take victory even though you only went for Marc, because we both went for Maverick, so I'm not even going to let you have that one.
Guys, it was pretty obvious who was going to be on the podium because we all got them. The hard bit was which order. I fluked it.
At the end of the day, guys, in the World Championship at the moment, Marc Marquez 93 points clear. I don't think there's any doubt at all that this is going to get wrapped up in the next couple of rounds. Of course, it can't get wrapped up officially in Aragon, but more than likely Thailand or Japan. Already doing homework ready for next year, but is this maybe now the signal that Fabio could be the rider to bring the fight to Marc next year?
Absolutely, 100%. Marc Marquez, he's a lot wiser than me, he's a lot smarter than me. He's raced Fabio Quartararo today for the first time in a proper showdown. He was full of praise for Fabio. He said the guy's going to win a race at some point this year. There's only 6 to go, so that's heavy praise from Marquez. He said, absolutely, no doubt about it, Fabio Quartararo will be a genuine and serious contender for the World Championship next year. This is a guy who's only going to be his second year, and this is coming from Marc Marquez, who knows his stuff, so it doesn't get a bigger compliment than that, really, does it?
Simon?
You were at the conference to hear that. I wasn't. I was running around digging, but great to hear it. Awesome.
Okay, well, that wraps things up here then from Misano. Thanks for joining us this weekend. That's 3 last lap battles on the trot we've had now. Let's hope that we have another one next week when we join you from Aragon. Here's the final test. He's gone for it straight away. Marc Marquez then takes the lead on the final lap.
Quartararo's going for it at turn number 4. He's got the inside line. He's now coming through into turn number 6.
Side by side again, and up to the inside into turn 8 goes Marquez.
Quartararo, here he comes. There are just 2 corners to go. Oh, he almost trips up over Marquez.
Marquez wins in enemy territory here in Misano.
Marc Marquez win an epic last lap battle finally in 2019.